Salvete discipuli. Hi students. Ego magister ponder sum. I'm Mr. Ponder, et nos, tu et ego, nos linguam latinam discimus. You and I, we are going to learn Latin. I don't know how much you already know about Latin, but Latin is the language that the Romans spoke around the time when Jesus and his apostles were alive and ministering in the earth. Now you might be thinking, well, why are we going to learn a language that people spoke so long ago? That's a great question. The short answer is because Latin is a very important language. It has influenced the history of the world. It has become many of the modern languages that people speak in Europe, South America, parts of Africa, around the world, and it even has influenced a huge part of English. Not only that, Latin helps us appreciate the gift of God's language, and it makes it easier for you when you get older one day if you become something like a doctor or a scientist or a lawyer or a theologian, where the language of Latin is used to talk about special words that are very important for those jobs. I don't know what God has in store for you, but I do know this. When you learn Latin now, at your age, it is easy, it can be fun, and it will prove to be super helpful. What we're going to do today is start with the very basics. We're going to learn the Latin alphabet, and then we're going to learn your very first verba latina, your first Latin words. Okay, are you ready? This is where we begin. This is the Latin alphabet. I know you might be thinking, that looks like our alphabet. That's right, because we get our alphabet from the Romans. All right, so let's go through the letters together just to make sure that we're going to say them the same way the Romans would say them, because we don't want to sound like Americans. We want to sound like the Romans. We want to talk Latin the way that the Roman soldiers might have talked it when they were talking to Jesus. Okay, now here we go. This is the letter A. It never says A like grass or A like cake. It's always the letter A. This is the letter B, which is B, just like our letter B. This is the letter K. It's always a hard k, like our cat, cat, but it's never soft, like city. Always k. A, B, K. This is the letter D, like our letter D. This is the letter E. It's never the letter E. It's always E, like bed or elephant. And here is the letter F, just like our F. D, E, F. This is the letter G. G is always a hard G. Good, or God, or gospel. It's never a soft G like giraffe or Jim. The letter G. This is the letter H, just like our H. This is the letter E. Now, I know you might be thinking, well, that looks like the letter I. Yes, but the Romans always said E when they saw this letter. This is the letter E. And sometimes our I makes that sound too, actually. If you spell the word machine, you'll see it's spelled M-A-C-H-I-N-E. Machine. Okay? That is how that letter E always is pronounced in the Latin alphabet. It's never E like hit or like girl. It's always E. This is the letter K. Ka makes a K sound. L-M-N, exactly like our L-M-N. That's very easy. Then we get to this little guy, the letter O. It's not O, but O. Look at my mouth very closely. O versus O. You see the difference? If you put your hand on your mouth and say the English letter O, you feel your mouth moving. But when you say the Latin letter O, your mouth doesn't move. O. It's a little bit like the way maybe the British people would say the letter O. If you have watched a movie where somebody comes from England, you might have heard them talk. They're talking English, but they say things a little differently than we do, don't they? Well, let me say this like a British person to help you hear the sound that the letter O makes in Latin. If you thought O, you hear it? If you thought the Latin letter O makes the same sound as the American O, then you thought wrong. All right, can you hear it? O. Okay. Next, letter P, which is just like our. Then the letter Q. Not Q. Oh, cute. No. Q. Then you get to this fun little letter. It looks like the letter R, and it is, but the Romans said it with zest, all right? It was the letter R, R. Do you hear that? I'm going to get really close so you can hear it. Listen closely. R. The Romans called this the littera canina, which means the dog letter. Littera canina. And that's because they thought it sounded like a little snarling dog when they said it. Have you ever walked by a dog before and you heard it going, arr, 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 arr? That's what the letter R does in Roman, so in Latin. So when you see this letter, you always need to get your tongue going with a little arr, arr, so you can practice sounding like a little dog, and that will help you say the Latin letter R. S, te, exactly like our S and T. And then you get this tricky little letter right here. This is the letter U, okay? Next to it, I've written in blue what looks like our letter V. That's because the Latin letter U, which was never pronounced U, okay? It was always U, U, don't move your mouth. The letter U worked a little bit like our letter Y. You know how in English the letter Y can be a vowel or a consonant? It could be a vowel, like when I say my. But it can be a consonant, like when I say your. Same letter, different sounds, it even has a different job. Well, that's true in Latin. When the letter U was working like a vowel, it always was U. But sometimes it acted like a consonant. And when it was a consonant, it wasn't U, it was W. W. And so what modern textbooks have done to help us with that sound is that whenever the letter U is being used like a consonant, they write it like the letter V, okay? But the very important thing that you need to keep in mind is that whenever you see this letter, your brain is going to want to say V. But the Romans never said V. They didn't know what that sound was. They only said W. So here's how you can remember it. If you say the letter U with the sound V, that's very, very bad, right? Because the Romans would have said the letter W, and that is very, very good. Very, very good, okay? The letter U has two different values, two different sounds, and when it's a consonant, our book will write it like a V to help you understand that. Just remember that when you see that, it is a W sound. This is the letter X, and this is one whole name for my favorite letter. What happened was the Romans would talk with the Greeks, and as they talked with the people in Greece, they traded with them and they learned from them. They noticed that the Greek language had a sound that the Latin alphabet could not represent. They had this sound in Greek that is U, U. And the Latins thought, no, it's not an E, it's not an E, it's not an U, it's not an O. What sound is this? And they thought, we got to come up with a new letter just so we can say this sound. So they did, and they called it U Graeca. Graeca is the Roman word for the Latin word for Greek, and U is the sound that that letter makes. And that whole thing is its name. U Graeca. I know that's crazy because all their other letters just have one little symbol and one little sound, and then they get to the second to last letter and they're like, it's U Graeca. But it's a lot of fun to say, isn't it? Totally. Last letter, zeta. And then when we sing our alphabet song, we're going to finish it with this little phrase, sunt elementa, which means they, the letters, these are the basics. Okay? Are you ready? Let me sing it once, and then maybe you can do it with me. A, B, K, D, E, F, G, H, I, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, X, Y, K, Zeta, sunt elementa. You got it? You want to do it with me? Don't worry if your family's listening. You have a beautiful voice. Okay, are you ready? Let's do it together. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. A, B, K, D, E, F, G, H, I, K, L, M, N. This part's fast. O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, X, Y, K, Zeta, sunt elementa. One more time, then you got it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. A, B, K, D, E, F, G-H-I-K-L-M-N-O-P-Q-R-S-T-U-X-Y-K. Zeta sunt elementa. Great job. Bene. I'm going to pause the video now, and so that we can learn our first verba latina, our first Latin words. Okay, are you ready to learn your first verba latina, your first Latin words? Here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to say the word in Latin, then I'm going to tell you what it means in English. That's called a translation, where you take the Latin word and you explain its meaning with the English word that matches it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say the Latin word, I want to ask you to say it with me, then I'll tell you what it means. After we're finished, you can pause the video and write down this list so that you have the Latin word with the English translation right next to it. Are you ready? Okay, let's begin. The first word is puer. Puer. If you are a boy, you are a puer, because that is what a puer is. A puer is a boy. A boy is a puer. The second word is puella. Can you say puella? If you are a girl, you are a puella. Puella. Number 3, liberi. Both you who are puer and you who are puella are liberi. Liberi. Liberi are children. Children are liberi. Number 4, salve. This is how you say hello to one person. If you saw your mom or your brother or your sister or your dad or your friend and you wanted to say hi to one person, you would say salve. Salve. Don't forget, there's that tricky letter U that's acting like a consonant. So it's written like the letter V, but remember, it's very, very good to say it just like the Romans. Salve. Salve means hello. Vale. Vale means goodbye. It's how you say goodbye to one person. Vale. Goodbye. Now you can say hello and goodbye to people in your family. Salve. Vale. Number 6. Amo. Amo. Amo means I love. I love. It doesn't just mean love, it means I love. We'll talk more about that in this week's second video. Number 7 means est. Est. Est means it is. And it can also mean there is. So I'm going to write that in parentheses so that you know that it can be that too. Est. It is. Number 8. Do you see the word est used here again? But this time it's in a question. So it's not it is, but what is it? The word quid means what. So when you use it with the word est and a question, it means what is it? Quid est. You might notice that when the letter U is followed by the letter E, it makes a ui sound. Quid. Quid est. This is what your mom would say to you if you were talking to your mom, your mater, and you said, you were whining and you said, mater. She might say, quid est? What is it? What is it? What is it that you want, puer? What do you want, puella? All right. Number 9. Quis est. Quis est. Quis est means who is it? You say, that's kind of tricky. They just change one letter and it changes the whole word. That's true, but look here. We do the same thing. You change the letter S to the letter I and it goes from is to it. You change the A and the T to an O and it goes from what to who. All languages do that. Don't get mad at Latin. It's just a normal language. Quid est? What is it? Quis est? Who is it? All right. Somebody knocks on your door and you lived in ancient Rome. What would you say? Quis est? Quis est? Who is it? Number 10. Et. Et means and. Et means and. All right. What I would like you to do now, at the end of our video, is to pause and to get out a piece of paper. And so on the left side of that paper, write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Write all of your Latin words, and don't forget these little marks where I've got them. Those are called macrons, and they're important because they're part of how that word is spelled. If you don't have it, it's like leaving the dot off of your I or the cross off of your T in English. It's a different letter, and it's not that it's a different letter, but it's the wrong spelling, okay? We'll talk more about those later. On the right side of the page, maybe you can draw a big line all the way down your paper, and then on this side, you can put the English translation of those Latin words. That way you can practice saying them. You can cover up one side and say just the Latin words and then try to remember the English, or you can cover up the Latin side and look at the English words and then try to remember the Latin. That will help you for your quiz later this week. You guys did a great job today. I was so glad to be here with you. If I was talking to just one of you right now, I would say wale, but now that I'm talking to all of you, I'm going to say walete, which is how you say goodbye when you're talking to a whole group of people. So walete discipuli, great job today. I'll see you in the next video.